This is a future version of the Maths Guru, and I've just looked back at the timings and realized I need to break up expanding and factorizing. This is the intro for the second part, the factorizing part, so let's just get straight into it. Okay, here we're looking at factorizing single brackets, and as it says there, factorizing is the reverse of expanding. It's basically putting the expression back into brackets by taking out the highest common factor from each term. So the way you can attempt these beginner questions, where we're going to build foundational skills, we look at both numbers here and we say, okay, what's the highest common factor between 6 and 9? What's the highest factor that they share? And obviously factor, for example, the factors of 6 are 3, 2, 6, and 1. For 9, it's 9, 3, 3, 1. So looking at these, the highest common factor is 3. So we could take 3 out here. Then we draw the bracket line and we say, if we take that 3 out, what do we need to times it by to get back to our 6x? So 3 times by our 2x will get us back to our 6x, because 3 times 2x is 6x. Then we look at our 9 and say, we have our 3. What times by 3 will get us to our 9? Perfect. 3. So this is completely factorized. So we can look at this and say, if we were to expand this, it'd be 6x, 3 times 2x, and then 3 times 3 is 9. Thus, hence, we say it's the reverse of expanding. 10x minus 5x, well, that's obviously a mistake. This should be 10x squared. So if we were to do 10x squared, we'd look at the highest common factor between 10x squared and minus 5x. So fine. Obviously, we can see that the highest common factor between 10 and 5 is 5, but also we have this x here. So we can also take out an x. Then we think to ourselves, if I'm at 5x, how can I get to 10x squared? So obviously, I have to times by 2 to get to 10x, but that's only going to get us to 10x. Then we realize that when we times x and x together, it gives us our x squared that we need. So that's fine. 2x is what needs to go in there. And then to get from 5x to negative 5x, just times by minus 1. Hence, if we were to expand this, 5x times by 2x, it gives us our 10x squared. And then 5 times minus 1, it gives us our minus 5x. Looking at this, minus 6x minus 12. The highest common factor between these two is going to be our minus 6. We can take our minus 6 out there. Then we think, how can we get from minus 6 to minus 6x? Obviously, we have to times by x, very self-explanatory. To get from our minus 6 to our minus 12, we have to just times by positive 2. Because if we were to times by negative 2, the negatives would cancel out and make a positive and make that positive 12, but no, in this case, we need minus 12. Okay, let's move on to the slightly harder questions at intermediate level. Looking at this, 8a squared plus 4a, this is similar to our question 2 in our beginner. So we first look at what's common. We can see the highest common factor between 4 and 8 is obviously 4. Then we realize that they both contain an a, so we can take an a out. Then we think to ourselves, how can we get from 4a to 8 squared? First, we have to get from 4 to 8, which is 2. And obviously, that will get us to 8a, but we need to get 8a squared, so put an a there, as a times a is a squared. Then, from 4a to 4a, that's very self-explanatory, just times by 1, so 2a plus 1. And that is fully factorized. And if we were to expand this, 8a squared plus 4a, as we need it there. Okay, looking at this, the highest common factor between 14 and negative 21, we can say the highest common factor is 7. So we take our 7 out. Also, we can see that an a is common between both of them, so we can take it out, 7a there. Then we think to ourselves, how can we get from 7a to 14ab? First, to get from 7 to 14, we need our 2. The a is already accounted for, and then we need to get to 14ab. So right now we're at 14a, So just put a b in there. Then minus, because it needs to get to a negative 21. We need to bring a 3 in there, because 7 times 3 is 21. Then we're looking at minus 21a. We need to get to minus 21ac. I'm sure you guys understand by now that is plugged in there. Okay, looking at the highest common factor between 8 and negative 12, we can take out a factor of 4. We see that x is common between both of them. Take out our x there. Then we think, how do we get from 4x to 8xy? We say we need 2y. And then to get from 4x to 12x to negative 12x, we need to take out, we need to put in, negative 3. Okay, moving on to our challenge questions. This is going to be the hardest level we're going to take it to today. We first look at the highest common factor between 12 and 18. This is going to be 6. 6, we see that x is common in both. There's at least one x in both, so we take an x out. And we can see that there's at least one y common in both. I hope you guys can see that. So 6xy. Then we think to ourselves, okay, how do we get from 6xy to 12x squared y? Well, to get from 6 to 12, let's sort out the numbers first. We need 2x. We need to get to x squared, so put in an x there. Y is already accounted for. So yeah, that would give us 12x squared y. So we can move on. Plus 6 to 18, we need to times by 3. X is already accounted for here. So we need to bring in another y to get from 18x y to 18xy squared. Looking at question 2, we look at the highest common factor between 10 and 20. We can take out a factor of 10. Then we notice that both a and b are common in both, so take out a and b. Then we think, how do I get from 10ab to minus 10a squared b? We need to take out a factor of minus 1, and then minus 1 times by a, which can just be written as negative a, then plus 2 from 10ab to 20ab squared, we need to times by 2b. So yeah, that's the answer. Then looking at, I think there's a mistake in this question as well. That should be 4a cubed b minus 8a squared b plus 12ab. Okay, this is similar, but it's just for 3 terms, so don't get distracted by that. We look at the highest common factor between 4, 8, and 12. That's going to be 4, obviously. We look at a is common in this one, a is common here, a is common here, so we can take a factor of a out here. B is common, b is common, b is common. Take out a factor of b. Then we think, how do I get from 4ab to 4a cubed b? Now, okay, the numbers are sorted out. We're already at 4. The b is already sorted out. We're already at b. To get from a to a cubed, we need to times by a squared. And this goes back to our rules of indices, where a is just a1, times by a squared. We add the powers and get a cubed. Hence, we put a squared inside the brackets there. That minus from 4ab to negative 8a squared b, we get negative 2. B's are sorted. We just need to we've sorted the numbers now, and then we need to just put in another a. I hope you guys can see that. I hope I'm not going over this too quickly. To get from 4ab to 12ab, a's are sorted, b's are sorted. It's just the numbers that need to be sorted. To get from 4 to 12, we need to times by 3, and that is the answer.